Hello, world. This is Carole from Viva Vacation, and I'm back with another podcast. And today I have my first repeat guest. Welcome back, Marc.
Hi, Carole. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for giving me some of your precious time. So, Marc recently came back from walking the Camino de Santiago in Spain. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Camino, Camino refers to a pilgrimage walk along one of the many routes of the Camino de Santiago, also known as the Way of St. James. This ancient network of paths, primarily in Spain and Portugal, leads to the shrine of St. James the Great in the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. While it was historically a religious pilgrimage, today it attracts people for various reasons, including spiritual growth, cultural interest, physical challenge, with participants walking or cycling for hundreds of miles. So, Marc, you've recently come back from a solo trip to Spain where you walked the Camino de Santiago Trail. So, I guess I'll start by asking how many kilometers in total did you walk and over how many days?
Uh, so the trail itself was 114 kilometers, and that was done over the course of 6 days. Uh, so that's the minimum you can walk for it to count towards you get a certificate once you complete the pilgrimage, and you need to walk at least 100 kilometers or bike 200 kilometers. So, yeah.
Wow. And I assume walking that much does not come without any physical challenges, such as like blisters, muscle cramps, maybe even dehydration. Did you experience any of these things while there?
No, no, we were fortunate weather-wise, although it didn't rain, but it wasn't too hot during the walk itself. I think the hottest was maybe 23, 24 degrees, but we would typically leave early in the morning, so it was still quite cool. Uh, no blisters, but my shoes, and that's my fault, weren't fully broken in. And so my little toes were hurting a bit for the last 3 or 4 of the days. So, but besides that, no cramping. I guess just rub some Voltaren at night and
Yeah,
got some plenty of sleep, and yeah, it was good.
good. So what led you to wanting to take this trip?
Uh, I don't know. For the past several weeks, I was feeling stressed at work and just a bit down. So I remember when I reached out to you, I was looking for some options to kind of decompress and reconnect with myself. And I know we explored a few options. Um, but I remember reading an article years ago. I think it was in the National Geographic that talked about this walk. And when you suggested a few tour organizations, the first one that I looked into was G Adventures, and that was one of the first things that popped up on the screen was the Santiago, the Camino walk. So to me, I just kind of it clicked, and I just didn't want to be lounging around for a week. I wanted to be active and also experience culture. I'd never been to Spain before, so I thought, what a kind of perfect kind of multiple birds with one stone opportunity here. And so, yeah, I'm glad I was able to go.
So how did you find like your guide and the group that you were walking with?
I couldn't have asked for better. There was a lot of uncertainty because I was going solo. But as soon as we met our guide Giorgio, by the way, who was great. I think he's been with G Adventures for 4 years. Speaks French, English, Spanish, Italian, so it was pretty great and had a lot of interesting stories. And then my group was great. We were two Canadians, the only two men, and the rest were all women, which was great. I had a great bunch of a great time with this group. So some folks from New Zealand, from the UK, US, and Australia. So kind of a mix of obviously a variety of accents on the trip, but I really enjoyed it. It was a great group, and I could have asked for better. And also all solo travelers. So which
Wow.
I think G Adventures. It's one of the things I think they're known for is that they do cater to the solo travelers. And again, this was my first time doing something like this, and I didn't know what to expect, but I couldn't have asked for better while I was there.
It's a long period of time to spend with people you don't know. So I assumed, did you gel as a group early on, or did that take time?
Yeah. So we had the option, as you know, Carole, to do like a pre walk uh, tour, I guess. And so I opted to do that. So it would give me time to kind of adjust my internal clock. So the pre walk was spent in Madrid, and the night I arrived early in the morning, but that evening, Giorgio met the tour members who had opted to do the same thing as I had chosen to do, and we went out for dinner. So that was a great way to kind of meet folks. Obviously, it's always a bit awkward the first time you meet folks, and that was a good opportunity to chat and get to know folks. And a variety of ages. The youngest one in our tour was a student from Switzerland, and she was 23, and the oldest was a lady from the US, and she was 75. So you got a
Wow.
variety of ages, and obviously life stories and experiences. So, and to me, that was one thing I was looking for as well, is just to get an opportunity to meet folks and kind of connect. So yeah, we gelled. I think we gelled pretty quickly, had some laughs, and that was a good thing. Also, Giorgio, our guide, would arrange a dinner for the group every night. It was optional, but we all would go, so that would be an opportunity to talk about our day and our walk, because you don't need to walk with the group. The group is just there to kind of coordinate things, but you go at your own pace. So some folks wanted to leave quite early in the morning, and some others later. Some were fast walkers, some were a bit slower. You could stop whenever you wanted to and take a break. But then at dinner, that was an opportunity for everyone to kind of sit down, have a good meal, and chat and laugh, and get ready for the following.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mentioned in the introduction that many people go for kind of the spiritual experience, and I think was partly what you were seeking with this trip. So I'm wondering if you set intentions before starting the walk. Did it meet your expectation, and did you have any aha moments during the walk?
Yeah, I a few people asked me that at the end of the trek, and the way I answered at the time is that I didn't really set expectations because I'd never done this before. So by not setting expectations, you can't, you know, be in a situation where your expectations are being met. So I was coming in blind, not knowing what to expect. But I say that in a way, I still wanted to come away being, I don't know, feeling not rejuvenated, but having maybe reconnected, decompress, and I feel that I was able to achieve that. Um, and like I mentioned, like you said, some do it for spiritual reasons. One lady on the tour shared with me that she had a very good friend, but over time they kind of weren't connecting as much, and she had recently learned that she passed away from cancer. But she had done that trek. Her friend had done that trek years ago, and she was there to experience what her friend had experienced, right? And as I was walking, there was various, you know, religious groups that were doing the walk. Some were just families, friends. Um, it was difficult to catch what everyone was saying because most of the pilgrims were Spanish because you're in Spain, so it's obviously easier access for them. I was reading an article, and about 60% of the pilgrims are Spanish. And actually, in 2024, there were over 500,000 pilgrims that did this walk. So
Wow.
there's a lot of people. So, anyways, every day I kind of wanted to reflect on certain things. So one day I spent some time thinking about my mother who passed away in 2012, and another day was on friends and family, another day on work. Um, and I saved the best for last. I guess I thought of myself and where I fit in all of this on the last day. So anyway, I wanted some time alone to think, and there was obviously a lot of time walking where you could reflect on things. So yeah. So,
Obviously I followed you on social media, and I enjoy that part where you set intentions for the day and kind of shared what you were going through and all that. So, what if you had to pinpoint one or two like memorable moments? Do you have any?
yeah, there's two. The first one was on day one, and it was one of the longest walks. That one was 24K. And so you kind of start with a bang. And at the very start, you need to go up a hill. And I would say most of the walk, if you've done kind of the trails at Fundy, I would put them in the kind of the blue green category. They're
Okay.
very there's a few inclines, but for the most part, it's a comfortable walk. And again, you go at your own pace, right? So if it takes you 3 hours, then it's 3 hours. If you need more time, then obviously you can take more time. But that at first, it was like right off the bat, there was an incline, and it was pretty steep. Uh, and it was the worst. But I didn't know that at the time. Anyways, I had my Fitbit on, and by the time I got to the top of the hill, it took about 3 or 4 minutes. My pulse was at 144, and I was saying, "Oh my God, if it's going to be like that, I'm not going to be able to make it at the
Yeah.
end." But fortunately, it was the worst, I guess, of it, and it wasn't that bad. It just when you weren't kind of ready for that. Actually, I have
Yeah.
three things. The second thing, if you remember, Carole, I managed to get lost, and if people shouldn't worry, it's really quite easy to walk. You have Marc milestones at every kilometer and important junctions. It's just one day, I don't know, instead of following the marker, I was just following the group of people in front of me because I was assuming, well, they obviously know where they're going, so I'll just keep following them. And then they entered a town, and one by one, folks would head into a restaurant, take a break, or would go in a hostel to check in. And then eventually I got to the end of the town, and there was no one in front of me anymore. And I was probably too lazy to turn around because I had already been walking for 4 hours. I said, I'll just keep going. I had my phone, I had the GPS. Um, so hopefully no one from the cathedral is currently listening, because technically I didn't walk the correct path for about 40 minutes. I was alone on a Spanish highway for that period of time, but eventually got to our hotel. And the last one was probably the most, emotional, was the last day. And again, you stop whenever you want. So we had stopped at different points to, buy juice and snacks and that sort of thing. And it was a 16K walk. So, but it just happened that we got to Santiago at noon. So the church bells were ringing as we were going down kind of the tunnel. And there's a lot of Celtic heritage in Galicia, in that part of Spain. And so there was a Celtic or Galician bagpipe that was playing, and it was just a bit surreal. And then all the people, right? Because everyone is kind of all converging to this one location. So it was that to me was kind of very great, but it was emotion as well, right? Because you've been walking for 6 days, 100+ kilometers, and to make it even more, there was a gentleman proposed to his girlfriend while we were there. So there was like
Oh,
a
wow.
hundred people, and so anyways, it was pretty surreal, but kind of magical as well.
Kind
So
of feels ceremonial, kind of celebrating the end of the trip kind of
yeah.
thing.
So they were able to tolerate each other for 100 some kilometers. I guess he knew he had found the right one and decided to
Yeah.
propose, I guess. But yeah, no, so those were
So
my three. Well, there were other times, but those were three things that came to mind.
cool. So you mentioned right off the bat the incline. Would you say that that was your hardest day physically, or did things get harder as you went on, or easier? I guess.
No, it was pretty much the same. Like there was no, again, you go at your pace. The thing that probably could have made it easier for me, a lot of people had walking poles. I didn't have any, and you can rent some or even buy a wooden. There's all throughout the walk. There are merchants that sell various souvenirs, and some you can buy these wooden poles that they've hewn from branches, and so that could have made it easier. Um, but again, it wasn't very challenging in the sense that I felt like, oh, I'm not sure I'll be able to make it. Just my toes were hurting a bit, but that was on me. It just my shoes were not properly broken in. uh, and like I was saying, we had a lady in our group that was 75, and she did
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
114 kilometers, right? I saw a
Yeah.
family with a father pushing a baby carriage, right? So they had a smaller infant, and so the trail. I saw people running it, jogging. Um, so all manners of different ages and different physical abilities. Yeah,
Yeah, a variety of age groups and even maybe capabilities as well.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
tell me what you learned from the Spanish culture.
Uh, they're to me, they seem very social, passionate, and one thing that for those that, if ever you consider doing something like this, we're in a group, and when you go out to eat, it's customary to order tapas, so very small kind of servings, and then share amongst the group, and then you get the one bill. And that's what was difficult for the group, because whenever we get the one bill, everyone was trying to figure out, well, what do we kind of order, and try to make sure that we paid our fair share. But there, essentially, you just split the bill. If you're five, you split the bill in five, and so so that was kind of an adjustment for our group, and I don't think we ever got adjusted to it. But to do it over again, it was just, look, we just for five, we'll split the bill in five,
Yeah,
and some days maybe I end up with the better deal, and some days not, right? But
yeah, exactly.
no, a very, very friendly. I was a bit concerned before going because I'd seen news about some protests that were happening. I think they were more in Barcelona. And again, they
Yeah,
might have been more limited. I think it has more to do with the tourists that have, rent Airbnbs, because it's driving up the rental costs there. But I didn't feel uh, unwelcome at any point. They're just very, very friendly, and just enjoy life. And Madrid is a real beautiful. That's where we spent our first 3 days. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier, but really beautiful historical city. I got to visit the Prado Museum. It's a lot of paintings there, and also the Royal Palace, Madrid. So, I mean, it's amazing. There's just the sheer size and the richness in there. Um, and for folks that are thinking of visiting, apparently August is the worst time to be in Madrid. I didn't know that before we booked. Um, uh, and the reason for that is the high temperatures. So when I got to Madrid, we were like low 40s for the first 3 days, and I was starting to panic because if it's going to be like that for the walk, then I'm not sure I'll be able to make it. But fortunately, where the walk was occurring, the temperatures are a bit cooler as we're further north. But still, even with the warm weather, it was beautiful there. And yeah, a lot of history.
So you mentioned if others are thinking of it, what would you recommend if somebody listening is thinking of doing this trip? What are some of the tips or advice you would give them?
Um, I did it solo, so and I know some people may say, "Well, I'm not sure if I can do that." I wasn't sure myself. I'd never done that before, but sometimes you just need to throw caution to the wind. And I mean, it's still an organized tour. I wasn't left by myself. And the way it works also is I brought two bags. So I had one larger backpack that had all my clothes for the week and toiletries and whatnot. And then I had a smaller backpack for the day's walk. So I'd have maybe an extra pair of socks and water bottle and that sort of thing. And by doing it with a tour, what happens is that they arrange to transfer your larger luggage from hotel to hotel, and then you are only responsible to bring your day luggage with you on your shoulders. So I wouldn't pack like for this, but because it's a walking tour, you're outside. I wouldn't pack too heavily. Um, and you have the option of sharing a room or not. So I know we had chatted about this, Carole.
Yeah.
I had, what a great way to meet somebody. And also the men are with the men and women are with the women, but everyone on our tour was traveling solo and everyone shared a room. And it was funny because you could see the ones that were sharing the rooms were the ones that were spending a bit of time or more time together walking because they got to know the other person, right? And
Right, of course.
I didn't hear anyone complaining about their roommate or whatever. So I'd say, go in with an open mind and be willing to experience new things. And be ready for situations like the unforeseen. I mean, they do speak English, but there are some instances where the English is not. So, there's a few words I know in Spanish, but eventually I made myself understood. And right. So yeah, I strongly recommend if you're kind of an outdoor person, I would strongly recommend this. This is kind of, and folks on the tour, many told me that this was on their bucket list. They had been wanting to do this for like 20 years. And then when they asked me how long I had been looking to do this, I said, I just planned this in the last 2 weeks. And by the way, Carole, thanks again for pulling this off. I know it was kind of a last minute, Carole, I want to do something. And you're able to get this all organized for me. But
I was more worried about the flights, to be honest, but it all worked out in the end.
Yeah,
and you were so lucky because you left the day before the strike,
yeah,
the flight attendant started, and then you arrived once it was all over. So
yeah,
you kind of lucked in there.
yeah. Things happen for a reason. That's
C'est
what
ça,
I told myself.
exactement. So thank you, Marc, for sharing your experience. If you have been, if Marc's conversation with me has piqued your interest, please reach out to either myself or another Viva travel advisor to discuss all the options. And Marc will be chatting about the next one. So until next time, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye.